You're listening to Conversations Ignite.
Hey everyone, and welcome back. Today I'm joined by Tarra. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, sure. I'm Tarra Stubbins. I am the founder of Take It Easy Group, and I'm excited to be here. I don't know how much of an intro you want.
That's great. So I believe you're a lifestyle manager and accountability coach.
I sure am, amongst many things. I do help people manage their lives and make sure that they can hit the goals that they want to hit through accountability and through different actions they take on a day-to-day to make sure that they are focusing on what they need to do to hit those goals.
Awesome. Now, what inspired you to pursue this career path?
That's a bit of a loaded question that I could talk about probably for hours, but I'll try to keep it as short as possible. So I actually have a very unique career path. I actually dropped out of high school, and I always like to say I dropped out of high school and joined the circus, but I actually dropped out of high school and jumped on a rock and roll tour bus. So same thing, circus, rock and roll tour bus. And it wasn't really a rock and roll tour bus. It was more a beat up van going across Canada with an unknown band playing like bars, which I wasn't even really allowed in because I was way underage. But I was really excited for the opportunity. My mother, not so much. But I was really excited for the opportunity to be able to see behind the scenes of a lifestyle that I thought I wanted. So when I was very little, I used to have a shirt that said, "Remember me, I'm going to be a star." And I always thought in my little undeveloped brain that being a star was being a rock star. So singing, dancing, performing up on stage. But there is a guitar behind me, but I have very, very little musical talent. When I play the guitar, it sounds like a dying animal when I play it. Like I'm really bad. My cats like go and run and hide whenever I attempt to do anything musically. So I always thought, well, like there goes my dream. I'm never going to make anything of my life. But when this opportunity came up, I was like, yes, this is what I've kind of been dreaming about, I guess, in some sort of way. I'm going. So I went, and I absolutely loved the fact that I was involved with the operational side of things. I was like, screw the people on stage. I love what's going on behind the scenes. And I loved it, even though I was literally getting coffees, cleaning the gross van, dressing rooms. Like I was doing not very glamorous work at all, but I wanted more of it. So I went back home, finished high school, and I decided to pursue a career in helping people in the like rock and roll industry, I guess. So I ended up being able to go out on some really big tours. I toured with the Rolling Stones for 2 world tours. I've been with Kiss and Nickelback and Lady Gaga and Kenny Rogers. And it's just been was a really, really exciting time. But I always had in the back of my head that I really wanted to help more than one crazy rock star at a time. I was like, I have this insider information of how people have become successful and maintained their success, like really powerful, successful people. And I want to share that with people. Like these rock stars, they can fend for themselves. I want to now share it with people who are just like me, who are trying to figure out their life and trying to start a business or achieve something really cool in their life. So I came off the road and I opened up my first business in 2007, which is still going. And it's a lifestyle management company supporting high profile, high net worth individuals basically run their day to day. And that's fun and exciting, but I still had that drive to help again, people like me, people who were trying to, change the world the way they can and not celebrity status. So opened up the accountability coaching business, executive assistant business, mentorship business in 2017, where I could really help founders and people who, in my opinion, are the ones changing the world.
Awesome. Now, what is the difference between a lifestyle manager and a life coach?
Great question. Lifestyle manager is running, they're mostly for, again, high profile, high net worth individuals running their households. So paying their household staff, making sure that the positions are staffed, making sure that their, fridge is stocked and their dry cleaning is picked up, and that their house is basically running like a business.
Gotcha. So you're actually running their household.
You got it. Yeah.
So I heard you say that you've worked with a lot of high profile clients. What are some of the unique challenges and rewards of managing their lives and schedules?
There's definitely a lot when you get up to that level, I guess, of busy people. I would say that what probably helped me is that understanding priorities. And this is what I teach a lot of people who are either like coaching clients of mine or are clients in our executive assistant business as well, where anybody can be successful, whether you start out successful or you're starting from nothing. But it's just really understanding what is a priority versus what is somebody else's deeming an emergency. And that's really, there's a nuance there. So obviously, you can think that something's a priority, but then usually emergencies have like a louder voice that are screaming at you. And it may be a priority, like your house may be, flooded or something like that, which is definitely an emergency. But an emergency sometimes could be somebody forgot to pick up, I don't know, like dry cleaning and they need it for a red carpet, or if you're a founder, maybe your laptop died before a really big important sales call. Like these are all, yes, emergencies, but you have to weigh if they are a priority and if you should actually be taking time to solve this out of your day. If it's something that somebody else can be solving, should this be taking up your time? Or is this something that can wait until tomorrow? So, yes, the emergencies have the loudest voice and are totally screaming at you, but weighing that on, is this a priority and what is actually building and pushing me forward to what my main goal is? That's the question that I would ask myself on a minute by minute basis when dealing with like really successful people's calendars, and also my own being pulled in so many different directions.
Awesome. Um, Now you also started Take It Easy Personal Concierge. Is that the first one you started?
That's the first business. So that's the lifestyle management concierge business that I started in 2007.
Gotcha. And your second business, is that the accountability coaching?
So my second business is Take It Easy Group, and it is actually a team of fractional executive assistants and chief of staff. But within me running two businesses and being part of really, powerful people and people who have really big dreams, goals, ideas, through that all, I created an accountability and mentorship program. So it's not really its own business. It's just something that I do in my free time, I guess. I don't know. I don't really have any free time, but to really help people who really, really are passionate about achieving their goals.
Now, how do you manage all these high profile clients and have time to manage everything that you have to do in your own life?
Yeah, great question. And the number one answer I always give is I don't do it alone. I have an amazing team of people behind me, and it's something that I am very passionate about teaching everybody, and that is the power of delegation. We see it a lot from very high profile people. They always have assistants and, makeup artists and wardrobe stylists. And yeah, sure, the average person can't necessarily afford all of that. But is there one thing or two things that you can delegate out to make sure that you are concentrating on what brings you the biggest ROI? And I say that all the time, and I live by it. And again, I definitely would be nowhere if I tried to do all of this myself.
Now, you don't just work with like really famous people. You also work with startup founders and entrepreneurs, correct?
Correct. Yeah.
So how do you adapt your approach when working with those two kind of different groups of people?
Yeah, so when I work with founders and entrepreneurs, I always try to teach them and mentor them and give techniques that I have witnessed from what these really powerful, successful celebrities are doing on a day to day basis. Because I was always so interested in, like, why them? Why is Mick Jagger up on this stage and not me? Why am I getting coffee? Why is he the one who has this like musical genius? Is it really, was he born with it, or was it something that he did on a day-to-day basis to create this success? So while I've been working with all these really successful people, I've been like a sponge. I've always wanted to really understand what builds success and maintains success. And I feel like I understand what that is from, almost 30 years in the business now, of being able to really understand that it doesn't mean like successful people get up at 4 a.m. and, meditate for 20 minutes and read 20 pages of a book. Like, your morning routine doesn't necessarily, copying someone's, successful morning routine doesn't mean that you're going to be successful. But what it does is it's like these kind of mindset ideas of how can you take what a really successful person's framework is and build that into your own life. And that's what I really enjoy teaching and helping people through, founders and entrepreneurs, through what they're going through, building their businesses, and how we can take these like celebrity secret frameworks and build that into their own lifestyles.
That makes a lot of sense. So, through all the time that you've had with all these successful people, you've kind of, as you said, sponged it up and kind of learned from it and are passing that on to these other people. That's very cool.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's awesome. So what does how does mindset play in building a successful business?
Yeah, so we could talk about that for 8 hours. But what I have witnessed over the years of working with these successful people is that they are really good at creating their own motivation. They don't wait for the lightning strike moment to happen. So, what I mean by that is a lot of us will start a business and we are like really, really excited to start the business. And the first week, month, I don't know, 2 months, maybe half a year, we can kind of power through all those like boring tasks that we don't want to do because we are really excited to get our first client or to help our client or, what, to do our first public speaking, whatever it is, whatever you're building. But then that kind of excitement wears down. And the people who can kind of push past that boring, the I need to, try to figure out all these hacks that are going to keep me motivated. The people who can just kind of switch their mind and understand that they need to be motivated to keep going to build that success are the ones who are the biggest success. And what I truly believe is what separates the successful people from the people who struggle. So all of us can like write down a goal. All of us can write down a SMART goal. So something that's specific, something that's time bound, something that, we can measure. Absolutely, we can all do that. We can all pick things out of the goal that we want to do on a day-to-day basis. But who actually is the one who's going to force us to do that? So if you say you want to lose 20 pounds, or if you want to build a business and you want to make a profit $1 million this year, and you know that you've broken it down and you need to talk to, and please don't quote me on any of these numbers. I am like literally just making them up, but you need to talk to 100 people a day. And so who's going to actually force you to sit down at your computer and type out those 75 cold emails or whatever it is, or go to that networking event so you can talk to an extra 25 people? No one is sitting there. There's no AI, not yet anyway. And yes, there is AI that sends cold emails and things, but you have to like sign up for it and prep it and all that. But actually getting you to do whatever task it is that you need to do, there is no robot out there yet that is doing it for you. And, you can wait until you feel motivated, or you can just understand that you got to do the things to become successful, to achieve the goals. And I am a true believer that anybody can achieve their goals. And I'm also a true believer that we all know what we have to do. It's not really a secret. We just have to actually start doing it. And I know that I have personally struggled a lot with this concept of like, what is the hack? What can make me, I don't know, get out of bed at 5:00 in the morning so I can actually do these 3 needle moving tasks that I know that I have to do before all my sales calls? Nothing. I can set alarms. I can have, like sunlight lamps go off. I can have an alarm across the room. I can do everything, but it's up to me to turn it off, to not hit the snooze, and to actually get out of bed. So long answer short, mindset really boils down to mental toughness and if you are capable of creating your own motivation.
So, you obviously have some very successful businesses. What was your kind of mindset when starting out, especially since you didn't really have any formal business training background, correct?
Yeah, 0. I was a dirty roadie, I always say. I came off the road with this idea and dream to help more than one rock star at a time. And I had no idea what I was doing. Back then, there were the yellow pages, and I literally thought that I had to spend like my entire life savings. Now, it wasn't my entire life savings, but I spent a lot of money, $5,000, to put an ad in the yellow pages, like a pretty big ad. And which was like now mind boggling to me, because my whole business was to go after really high profile, high net worth people. Who's reading the yellow pages when you are like a celebrity, right? And going, oh yeah, I'm going to pick this person because they have the biggest ad. Of course not. But because I had no business background, that's what I was doing. And to make the story even better, I remember the day they delivered, it was like physical yellow pages, not the digital one. They were set to deliver it to everybody's houses. And I waited by my phone, and it was like, I had a landline. And I waited because I thought, well, all these people have seen my ad. They got the yellow pages today. They're going to call me. Learning lesson. Didn't get a single call, not that day or any day after that. I still have the ad too. But yeah, I had to make all of these really, really tough lessons and learning opportunities, I guess, to figure out what the heck I was doing because I really had no idea. I also remember Googling, and Google wasn't as sophisticated back then. And there was definitely no like ChatGPT, or I'm sure it was like Ask Jeeves I was using and not even Google, right? I'm really dating myself here. And I remember saying, like, how do you run a successful business? And Google told me two things. It told me to hustle, which to this day, I absolutely can't stand that word. And the reason why is because I couldn't, at that moment in my life, I couldn't quantify it. I didn't know what hustle was. If Google told me to send 100 cold emails a day, I would have sent 100 cold emails a day. If Google told me to go, and it also told me like write a business plan and do this, which I already had because I had gone through those steps, but I didn't know what to do with it. Like, okay, I have this business plan. Now what am I doing? And I understood that hustle was work harder and like keep pushing, but I didn't understand on what. And I still believe that people get stuck in that because they hustle and they work really, really, really hard every single day. But I don't think that they are working on or understand the right things to work on at the right time to actually make a difference. And you just run around in circles all day and you're exhausted doing all these like little tasks instead of like big picture strategy tasks. So Google told me to hustle, which I hated. I didn't understand that. And then Google told me to network. And that was something I could get behind because being a personal assistant to celebrities, I could never do anything without my network. I had to pull on my network on an hour by hour basis to get some of the weird random tasks that I was always asked to do. And so that was something that I could quantify, that I understood. Now, again, this is very unique. It's probably just because of like my life and what I had gone through in my past, but I still am truly a huge believer in the fact that anybody who is building a business or trying to climb the corporate ladder or even become like the best mom or the best dad or the best volunteer, you are never going to achieve your goals and get to the best level of whatever it is you're trying to do without a really strong network behind you. You are really only as good as your network. And so that's something that I am truly a believer on, whether you're starting from the beginning or if you are a really famous person, is you are definitely as strong as you build your network out to be.
Now you're talking about networking. Back then, how did you network? There wasn't YouTube. Facebook, I think, was just coming out, but there weren't all these social media platforms. LinkedIn wasn't there. How did you network back then?
Yeah, that was really interesting. And back then, too, it was a bit of a challenge because there wasn't a lot of business like groups or opportunities, like accelerators. There was definitely no co-working spaces. And I always found that being an entrepreneur in like the early 2000s was like a real estate agent or a mortgage broker or like owning a brick and mortar store or being an IT consultant, which back then no one knew what IT consultants did at all. At least I didn't. I was like, this is weird. But so there wasn't like people building businesses like we understand it today. So networking was a challenge. What I did was I already leaned on the network that I had built being out on the road. So talking to people, anybody I could, always, I another huge lesson I learned is I never say no to anything. I always say yes, and then I figure it out after. Now, mind you, if it's illegal, I'm obviously going to say no to it. And now I have better boundaries and I say no a little bit more. But if you are starting out, I would say never say no. And it would just always put me, if someone was like, hey, do you want to go have lunch with my friend and I didn't feel like it, but I'd be like, yep, sure, I'm in, let's go. And then the friend ended up being the guitar player for, I don't know, Lady Gaga. Again, I just made that up. But you never know who knows who. You never know who's going to be able to help you down the line. So that's one thing. But then when the first co-working space opened in Toronto, where I was living, I was like the second person to join. I volunteered at the front desk. I was so excited to find other people like me that wasn't like a mortgage broker or a real estate agent or like a Tupperware salesperson who was very popular then too. And I was just so excited that there was like other people building these really cool businesses that I could learn from and that I could network with. So I know I didn't really answer your question fully, but yeah, for the first few years until that networking or that co-working space opened, it was a bit of a struggle trying to find new people, but not saying no to any opportunity really definitely helped me there.
Now, you did answer my question pretty much, because I heard a lot of word of mouth, getting it out there by a lot of word of mouth. And even with everything we have today, all the different social media platforms, the different places we can go, word of mouth is still, I believe, one of the best ways to get yourself out there. Because if people know you and can talk about you, then it gives you um, more, I guess, respect from other people, or they can actually believe what people are saying about you because those other people have had experiences with you.
Yeah, there's one word that can grow any business, no matter if you're a service based business or a product based business, and that is rapport. And if you don't have the rapport with your clients, then you're not going to be able to build. Or if you don't have any clients and you're looking for them, if you don't have rapport with your network, you're not going to be able to build anything successfully and sustainably. And that's something that I lean into myself and with my team all the time, is how can we level up our rapport? How can we 10x this rapport with our clients, with our current clients, with who we're talking to every single month? Because we can only get better and better and better.
You also talked, let's see, about I've heard some stuff about you saying like multitasking. What are some practical steps people can take to improve their time management?
Yeah, so multitasking is definitely not one of them. Um, Avoiding multitasking is definitely the start to time management. And I know to some people that sounds counterintuitive, because if you're only doing one thing at a time, how are you actually getting everything done? But again, I kind of hinted on it before. It's really understanding what are the tasks, jobs, priorities you have to do right now to get you closer to your overall goal. And a lot of founders and a lot of people in like new leadership positions get confused by, I'm busy and I have all these tasks I have to do. And these tasks are important to my overall goal, but they're not thinking big picture strategy. And in a way, getting bogged down with all the, minuscule tasks is actually a form of procrastination. So maybe something that's really big is, you have to call an accountant to get your finances in order because your business can only grow if it's organized. But that's something that you don't want to do. So you fill your day with inbox manage, like answering every email you can. And you fill your day with, I don't know, getting on random networking calls, which is good. Or you fill your day with, I don't know, doing like calendar cleanup or creating a new project management spreadsheet for your goals. All great, but your business can only grow if it's organized fully, and you need that accountant to help you. So why are you not getting on the call and calling that accountant? So making sure that your days are filled with 80-20 rule, 80% of what I like to say needle moving tasks. So tasks that are actually going to push you forward in your for your business goals. And 20% can be, life tasks. We all are adults. We all have to like brush our teeth and eat and, renew our passports and get our tires changed and things like that. But that shouldn't be all the stuff that takes up all of your days. And once you figure that out, then blocking time in your calendar is really helpful to make sure that you are actually doing the 80% of tasks that are moving you towards your goal. And I work with a lot of founders who have ADHD or some form of ADD. And a lot of people will tell them to time block everything in their calendar. We hear that a lot. And they actually get overwhelmed by it. I don't know if you've ever tried to time block everything, but when you do, even though you're putting like free time or have lunch or walk the dog or, downtime, there's still no white space in the calendar. And for a lot of people, they get overwhelmed by that. They're like, I am so busy. I'm working from 5 a.m. to 11 p.m. There's no time for me, even though clearly in there is me time. So if you're one of those people who get overwhelmed with time blocking, I would say to not put in your personal tasks or what you want or block free time, to start out with like the main goals that you want to achieve, and then your meetings or appointments. And then you can work up to, once you get through that, putting some personal time in there as well. So that's like one little hack that I like to use.
Cool. So it really sounds like prioritizing is a very big part of time management.
It's a big part of everything. It's a big part in achieving your goals. And so whether you are wanting to have more time in your day, whether you are wanting to, achieve your big goals, being able to prioritize is definitely number one. Moving into also, I forgot to answer your question about multitasking, is that it's really interesting. So multitasking actually doesn't exist at all. It's not even a thing, because your brain can't focus on more than one thing at a time. So when you think you're doing two things at once, your brain is actually context switching between the two things, either slowly, if you're really tired and have been multitasking all day, or really quickly. And so you're actually losing time when you're trying to do two things at once. Like I think we've all been in a car, like trying to look for an address, and we have to turn down the radio because our brain actually can't concentrate on those two things. And so a lot of us, if we just understood that we needed to focus on what the main priority is at that moment, then we can actually get a lot of more things done. I actually heard a really interesting analogy on this the other day. And it was, if you have water and you focus the stream of water, a really, really strong stream of water, focused in one point, you can cut through metal. Or if you have a piece of paper and you lay it on a really hot layer of pavement in the sunshine, nothing's going to happen. But if you take a magnifying glass and you focus it over the paper in the sunshine, it's actually going to light on fire the paper. Focus. Where you focus your energy is actually where you're going to grow the most. So why don't you focus your energy on what brings you the biggest level of success?
I love the analogy that you made with driving in the car, looking for the address, and turning down the radio. I know that that has happened to me all the time. I have never thought about multitasking in that way before, but it makes so much sense. And it really it because you always hear, especially in a lot of corporate environments, you need to multitask, get all these things done. It is really hard to complete tasks efficiently and perfectly when you're trying to do more than one thing at a time.
Yeah, it's interesting too because a lot of us will blame like outside conditions on why we can't get things done. So, because you can't multitask. So, I don't know, if you're in an office environment, maybe you have a chatty coworker who always comes over and wants to tell you their life story and interrupts you from doing what you have. So, you blame them, like, I can't get my work done because of them. Or if you're working from home, you blame, your dog for barking, or your neighbor's going doing construction, or I just can never get focused in my living room. I always want to have a nap or turn the TV on. Like, we're always blaming like outside conditions. But it's actually interesting that the reason why people don't achieve what they want to achieve is actually not those outside conditions. It's actually the internal communication that we have with ourselves. So the outside conditions only make up about 20%, 10 to 20%. And the other 80 to 90% is what we tell ourselves. So I'm not smart enough. I'm not rich enough. I'm not poor enough. I don't have an idea. I have a headache. I don't feel like it today. I'd rather binge Netflix. That can wait till tomorrow. That's boring. All of those things that we tell ourselves is actually what's stopping us from just getting up there and doing what we need to do.
And it all comes back to that other 80% comes back to mindset.
You got it. It comes back to the mindset, and it comes back to mental toughness. And if you think about like athletes at the top of their game, I always think about this. Like, you think about people who get out there and run and are training for whatever they're training for, and they know that every single day they have to go run however many miles. And you see them out there in the rain, in the dark, in the snow, in the ice, in the really hot temperatures. And I'm willing to bet, I know this, that 99.9% of them don't want to be out there. And they're the ones, though, that have that mental toughness and have figured out a way to get them out the door, to put the running shoes on and to get out the door no matter what it is. And to not listen to that negative talk in their head, to push it back and to go, nope, this is what I have to do. This is my goal. This is what I'm doing. Here I go. I'm running outside in the rain and the dark and the cold.
Yeah, yeah. For entrepreneurs that kind of just started out and they start to feel overwhelmed, what's one thing that you can recommend they focus on to kind of regain control of their time?
Great question. People ask me this a lot, especially my coaching clients, where they just have so many things to do, especially new entrepreneurs. Actually, any entrepreneur. I still do it. Shiny thing syndrome, or I come up and I always say my 2 a.m. thoughts. So when I've like just fallen asleep, but then I wake up with like all these amazing ideas, or shower thoughts, also really great time. And then I tell my team, okay, we're going to go in this direction. And they always go, Tara, what is the goal? What are we focused on? And I'm like, yep, okay, I know. So it's really, again, having a true understanding of what your goal is. And it doesn't have to be a goal that is 10 years out, 5 years out. That's a good goal to have, but sometimes that's too far away for us to latch onto right now and understand that maybe moving in this direction isn't helpful. So having a goal that's like a little closer, whether it's a year broken down into quarterly, monthly, weekly, however it is, And then asking yourself, taking that 2 seconds and being like, is this helping me with my goal? And if you have to justify it, because I have people who will go down a huge rabbit hole and justify these weird tasks that they're doing, somehow help them with this goal. If you have to do that, then it's really not helping you with the goal. But if you go, yep, sending these 100 cold emails is 100% helping me get 5 leads on my calendar, which will sales calls on my calendar, which will end up being 1 closed sale, which will then help me to my bigger goal. Then that is, again, please don't come after me for those numbers. I just made them up. But that's what you have to ask yourself. So if you are, I don't know, rearranging your calendar for the 20th time, is that really something that is actually helping you, or are you just procrastinating, doing something else? If this amazing idea that you came up with in the shower at 2 a.m., is that really something that you should be pivoting or focusing on your business? Is that really a goal that is, going to help you to the bigger goal? Take a moment to think about it. If it's not, put it in a parking lot somewhere, whether it's digitally in a Google Doc or Word doc or like a project management, or if you want to write it down on a piece of paper. Like, don't let those ideas go. Revisit them, but focus on what needs to be focused on at this one time.
I see a lot of repetitive things here, and a lot of it comes back to prioritizing. Yep. So obviously prioritizing your goals. Would you say it's definitely important to have one like big long-term goal, and then maybe multiple shorter like short-term goals?
Yeah. So, first of all, I've seen a lot of people will set a long-term goal and then short-term goals, but they don't put the short-term goals in the right order. So they're like, I want to be debt free, and then I want to make $1 million for my business. But maybe you need to make $1 million of your business before you're debt free, or something like that. That's a bit of a stretch example, but or you can't say I want to lose 20 pounds, but then my goal next year is to actually work out. Like, that's not going to jive. Like, you have to get into a routine of working out, of going to the gym however often, and then maybe your goal is like healthy eating, and then like the long-term big goal is losing 20 pounds. Or people will just say, I want to be financially free. I want financial freedom, or I want to run $1 million business, or I want to be the best coach that I could be. And those are absolutely amazing goals, but you still need to like quantify them with something as a long-term goal. So it needs to be, for financial freedom for me, I need $10 million in the bank account so I can retire when I'm 31 years old and, whatever. Or to be the best coach that I can be, I need this, this, and this behind me. And then that's how you can start breaking down your short-term goals. And then setting your goals too is, again, something that you have to be careful with, because a lot of people will set big stretch goals. So they'll say, like, again, I want to profit $1 million in my business this year, but they haven't even like formed a business. They don't even have an LLC or incorporated yet. So like that's a big stretch to, make $1 million profit in 1 year. Not saying it's not doable at all. But, and I love a good stretch goal, but sometimes if it's too lofty too soon, then it's just going to discourage us. So making sure that you set the right goals at the right time, but you also don't want to set them too easy. You don't want to say, well, this year I want to lose 1 pound in 12 months. Well, like, who's going to actually try to do that? No one, because you can probably, if you set your mind to it, lose a pound in a week. So, or a day, I guess, if you really want to get into it. But, you know, setting goals that are too easy, you're never going to push for them. And setting goals that are too hard, too much of a stretch, you're never going to, it's just going to be discouraging. So it's like Goldilocks, trying to figure out like the right goal that you really want to achieve. And that's actually going to motivate you to keep going to achieve it. So long-term goals, absolutely, you need to set it. You need to have a path of where you're going. But then you also need the driving instructions of where you're getting to. So you need those short-term goals. You know, driving, I was just telling you, I was driving from Nashville to Atlanta. So I knew that at first I had to hit Chattanooga before I hit Atlanta. And without that goal, I would just be driving all over the place. I could have ended up back in Canada where I'm from.
Yeah, that makes a lot of really good sense. Having that long-term goal and then the things to help you get to that goal. So you've got these incredibly successful businesses. You've worked with some incredibly successful people. What's one of the most valuable lessons that you've learned throughout your career?
I've get asked this question. I've been asked it a few times, and I never know how to answer it because I feel like I've been given so many valuable lessons. And as I was explaining in the beginning, I feel like me being surrounded by these like really powerful people, I've been like a sponge, kind of taking all of it in. One thing that I want to share that I find pretty valuable, and it's just something that I kind of figured out on my own, so it wasn't a lesson that I was taught, but or told, but it's to be your own unique person. So a lot of times we try to copy what this other successful person is doing. And that doesn't work, or that can only work for so long, because you're you. You have your own background, you have your own whatever comes to the table, whatever you bring to the table, and that person is doing their own thing. So me being here and saying like, copy this exact time management technique, or copy this exact morning routine, or copy this, that can work for some people. It's not necessarily going to work for everybody. So really, if you're serious about it, really understanding what works for you, and you may have to try a whole lot of things. With my coaching clients, I go through sometimes like 8 different things before we land on a routine that works for them, or different techniques. And sometimes it's not just one, sometimes it's a mashup of a whole bunch of things, but what sticks with you. And while you're trying it, please don't only try it for 2 days and then go, oh, that didn't work. Because whatever you're doing, it's building a habit, and habits definitely take a lot of time to actually form. So you wouldn't go and run on a treadmill and think, for an hour and be like, oh, I didn't lose 20 pounds. I'm never going to do this again. It obviously takes time into an effort that you have to put into it. And so people always ask me, like, what is your number one time management hack? Or what is the best celebrity time management hack? Or what does your favorite morning routine look like? And I always say, what I do or what my celebrities do doesn't matter. It's what you do and what you can stick to and what works for you. That's what matters.
Would you say that kind of learning from other people, seeing what they do, and kind of forming your own kind of routine, is that what people should do?
Absolutely. And taking different things from what other people do. Absolutely. I'm not trying to tell you to like create something brand new outside Like, I feel like there's nothing else to create. But taking, like, I can't remember if it's I think it's Matt Damon, or is it Mark Wahlberg, who like literally gets up, I think it's Mark Wahlberg, who gets up at like 2:00 in the morning, plays a round of golf, drinks like a specific smoothie, then works out for an hour and a half, then I think takes his kids to school, then eats breakfast, then goes plays, like, I don't know, meditates. And then people are trying to like copy this morning routine, but like, of course it's not working for them. But they're like, well, it works for Mark Wahlberg, of course it's going to work for me. No, but maybe something in there does, like maybe getting up a little extra early so you can get ahead of the, so you can focus on something, your priority work, before life is thrown at you. Or so you can get a good, healthy breakfast in and then be able to take your kids to school. Whatever it is, like maybe there's something in there, but trying to copy these routines and, what everybody else is doing, I find will set you up for failure, because you're never going to be able to do it exactly as they are doing it.
Yeah, you can't be somebody else. You have to find your unique self, but you can learn what other people do and kind of use what they do in different parts.
Yeah, you can take like what this person does and then what this person does, and it's not going to work tomorrow. Like if you go, okay, I've read all these books and I've listened to all these podcasts and like I've been to all these events, and now I know exactly what I want my day to look like and what I'm going to focus on and what my priority tasks are, and like here I go. And then tomorrow after doing it, I'm going to be a huge success. Like, no, it's not going to work. You have to like play around with it and give it some time.
Yep, it takes time. What's next for you and your businesses? Are there any new exciting projects or anything that you're working on right now?
Yeah, I'm actually about to launch my own podcast. It will be launched hopefully on February 1st. It is meant for women business owners and women leaders who are ready to share what most people are uncomfortable sharing. So the hard times in business, the parts of the day where we're like, am I the only one going through this really horrible time? And also the extremely tactical ways of getting out of really hard problems in business and getting through the other side. The title has a swear word in it, so I will not say it here because I don't know if I'm allowed to swear. But it is Fudge the Fluff, it's called. And as I said, it will hopefully be launching on February 1st, but not really fudge.
So you can actually say the whole title and tell people where they can find it.
Awesome. It hasn't launched yet, but it will be wherever podcasts are shown and played. It will also be on YouTube, and it is called Fuck the Fluff.
Awesome. I can't wait to watch it. Hopefully I'll get to see it on February 1st.
Awesome. I'll send you the link.
Awesome. Thank you. Are there any places, if anybody else is interested, do you have any social media accounts where they could find you?
Yeah, so my website is takeiteasygroup.com. I am also on LinkedIn, Tarra with 2 R's, Stubbins, and Instagram, I'm Tarra's Time.
Awesome. It has been great talking with you, and hopefully we can talk again sometime in the future.
Yeah, I can't wait. Thanks so much.
You're welcome. Thanks, everybody, and we'll see you soon.
Thanks for listening to Conversations Ignite. See you next time.